Hello there, everybody. Wee Paddy from across the shock. Well, this is a bit of a um, sort of an old type of video that I used to make a wee bit more of, and I sort of stopped doing it recently, and I'd like to get back into it again because I enjoyed it so much. Look, as we know, we all have subs, and we have a lot of people that we're sub to that have channels, but we also have an awful lot of subs that don't have channels. So the only outlet they have to get in and join in is through our channels. And these are sort of just for sort of eye candy for, but I'm going to use them in what I'm going to talk about tonight. So we have subs that their only way of interacting with the community is through our channels. And God bless them. I love every single one of them that interacts, and I try to answer as many as I can. Sometimes more successful than the others. This is a busy week, Christmas week, for everybody, not me, just everybody. So this is my last chance, I suppose, this one to get in before the end of the year. And it's one that I want all my subs to join in on. To get involved in, to talk with each other down below, not necessarily just through me, but if you see a comment that you like or you maybe have a disagreement, but keep it really friendly. Any bad comments or any rude comments, I will take off just straight away. So there's no point, if you're going to do it, there's no point, go somewhere else and do it. But this is for people who just want to interact, to have a discussion rather than an argument, who want to share different views and opinions, hear what somebody else is about and think, So that's all this is for. I just want everybody to join in. I genuinely appreciate everybody. I've got so many new subs and I don't know them, and it would be lovely to look down the list and go through and see what their opinions are on this subject. And I would like to do more of them, maybe even one a month if I could get, if it turns out all right. So, what are we going to talk about? Well, let me tell you, I got this lovely little Kershaw Leek. Now, it's been de-assisted. It's nearly like brand new. It's just, I don't think it's ever been used in anger. And I haven't, the man that gave it to me is a sub. He's the boy that actually won the last giveaway. Now, he lives in England. I'm sure it's England now. I'm going to probably get that wrong. But what I haven't asked is, can I give his name out over the internet yet? Because I've had a day full of just family, and I just felt that I needed to get this video made tonight to put up tomorrow morning. So I'll just call him John. John sent me this Kershaw because he said I didn't have it in my collection, and would it appeal to me? And it does. It really does appeal to me, because this is one of the knives that, when I first came around, with all the tenacious, with the blur, with the skyline, these were the knives that I heard about, Rat 1s and Oz 8. These were all knives that I heard of, and I always wanted to get. And I've managed to collect quite a few. Very fortunate with gifts, but I collected some myself. But I got this today, and I'm going to do a video of it because he had de-assisted it, so I want to assist it again because I quite think this would be nice assisted. It's a speed safe, so I'll do that over the next day or two and maybe do a wee video on doing it. We'll see how that goes. So, it's a beautiful little knife, really lovely example, and I'm really pleased to have it, oh gosh, you can't see that, have it in my collection. But I was sitting thinking today, and I was going through my collection, I'm looking at the older knives, this era. I'm thinking, when I first came around, it's only about 3 years ago, I seen these knives that people were talking about that were, the knives of the past, the great knives that, that just stood out amongst all other because they had lasted the test of time and they had come through the other side. They were just good knives. They maybe didn't have brilliant steels. These were Sandvik steels, 8CR13s, Oz 8s, 8CR14. They're just all different type of steels. But these were the budget, and maybe a wee bit above budget in their time, the blurs and the rat. They were sort of working men's knives, let's put it like that. They were working men's knives, or people that were on a budget. This is what you would have achieved for, or you'd set your goal at getting these knives. GEC, just for the name of one, you had Case, you had all sorts. So I heard of all these when I came around, and I've been trying to collect them. Because I started a bit late, I'm European, so I didn't have these growing up. And I've had such joy collecting it. And then I'm sitting today with this wee knife came over the moon with it, and I'm thinking, now, in 20 years' time, will these knives still be in people's collections? Or will the old fuddy-duddies like me who find their history and their usage and their purpose, why they were built, will that still be something people will want to collect in 20 years' time? And I'm thinking, well, would I, if I'm still here? Yes, I would, because I like the history of them. I like where they came, their price point that they came at. They were for the everyman. And I'm thinking now, yes, we have knives that are the same value now as they were then. But the only thing is, the budget knife of today, there's a Ganzo F11. The budget knife of today is about 20 quid, which what a lot of these would have cost in their time, $25 or whatever, or the equivalent of that time and that era. But it's D2 steel, it's G10, it's ball bearing flipper, it's deep carry pocket clip. It is just an absolutely piece of art. It's a beautiful knife. And will I think the same? I mean, this is what its equivalent was, 20 years ago or 15 years ago. I mean, this is a cracking knife. I think the Skyline is one of the most simple, beautiful designed knives that you're ever going to come across. I just think it's gorgeous. And I think this was it's not even on, I think this is the Sandvik 1428. Absolutely great steel, sharpens a treat. It's just a lovely thin blade for everyday carry. Cracking knife. Now, if you wanted something heavier, you had the speeds. You listen to that thwack and you hear it coming out. There was a great big work knife. I love this knife for heavy work. It's a hollow grind, cuts cardboard, eats it like you can see by the steel. I use it constantly. It's forever in my EDC use. And this is probably, maybe even the most famous big working knife in Oz 8. Absolutely cracking knife. You have to sharpen it a bit more than what you would the modern steels, but it works. It's just a huge big work knife that's comfortable to cut and work with all day long. They're not too thick on the blade steel. And yet, I think you'll find with more of the older knives, they weren't that thick, because that's a more modern. We want everything bigger, thicker, wider, But these were built for working. They were built for working. Whereas now, I think, because we have such a big knife community, it's not just for working. People are buying knives now as a hobby that they're never going to use. And I think that's happening more now in the modern society. And I mean, that's quite normal. That's just progression. If things don't progress, it would be a sad world, because you'd all still be sitting with a cheap steel on a knife that we're having to sharp every 10 minutes. We don't want to do that. But I was just sitting thinking, how many of these in 20 years' time, these old boys, and there's the PM too. I mean, she's an old girl now. But look at her. She still looks beautiful. She's beautiful in hand. Well, now I've got my nice scales, but she was quite hard in hand because she was a work knife. And you put a pair of gloves on, you went out to work, and that was it. This was a knife you wanted in your hand. Great big work knife. And it was an expensive work knife, and it was hard to get because they couldn't make them fast enough for the way people wanted them. But you had the Tenacious. You had this was the cheap, and a work knife. Again, not super thick, but a real good work knife. It's only 8CR13 in the 8CR13 in these. But still a fabulous work knife that's solid, dependable, still working today, still sold today, although we're getting the more modern variants. What are we getting today that's sort of iconic, that is going to be there? I think this will still be about. The PM, I think this will still be about. This is still, no matter how old it is, this is still one of the best fidget knives, and just an all-round EDC knife. It specialises in nothing, but it's small, it's pocketable, and it's EDC. Will this be about? Yeah, I think people will still want this. It's a good blade steel. There's another one, a smaller knife that people are going to want about, that can work, can do the business. S35V and a great steel. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, these are going to be about. But sadly, I think these are starting to go now. Aussie is starting to be phased out. You know, the Sandvik steels now, people are wanting beyond them. They're wanting the D2s. I mean, look, there's a knife that cost about $65, $70. £55 I paid for it. There's a Manly knife. Look at that knife. Look at that lovely blade. Full flat ground blade. Look at that. Beautiful. Deep pocket carry clip, G10. Nothing fancy. Just a good, dependable work knife. Much like this is. But this is on the way out. And this is coming in. This is 8CR13. This is S90V. They're about the same price. Do you know what I mean? What would you choose if you had the choice? This doesn't stand a chance against this. In my opinion. I don't think it stands a chance. And we will phase these all out. And I just wonder, I suppose I'm just thinking my collection, if I hand it on to my grandkids, what a collection they're going to have. They're going to be able to go back way beyond the new ones coming in today. When I see the new video channels coming in, most of them are onto the new knives. They're onto the Ganzos that are D2. You know, they're onto the other models that are D2, that are, you know, S30V. They're picking them up because they can pick them up at a reasonable price. The likes of the titanium. Now, this is a Fura knife. It says D2. I have no idea whether it is or not. Some of them are, some of them aren't. It literally is, you know, toss a coin. This one I just love as a knife. But, I mean, this is titanium, thick blade stock, you know, lovely grind, cuts lovely, absolutely lovely knife. Frame lock flipper. Do you know, it's just a lovely big lump of knife. And that is going to be the budget knife, the knife like the Skyline, the knife like the Spyderco. This is going to be the replacement along with Ganzos and other cheaper knives. Now the Rat 1s are in D2, so these are going to be phased out. The knives that people had, and you had to sharpen. Now I hear so many people saying, well, I don't sharpen knives. But when in the days gone past, you had to be able to sharpen to have one of these because it needed sharpening more often. You couldn't afford to send it away to somebody to do it. So you got a stone out and you learned how to sharpen. And I just hope that the sharpening side of the knife collecting hobby doesn't get pushed aside by people wanting, you know, S90V. I mean, here's a slip joint, an M390, Bowler M390. I mean, that's just going to outwork 1095 GEC. It's going to work it to death. You know, I mean, this is going to last probably 4 times, 5 times longer than this. Do you know, it might take a bit more to sharpen it, but it's going to do that. So look how few proper traditional knife companies are left now. GEC are doing it, and they've got a great recipe. Somebody told me the other day that Queens have started making again. Great. Get them back in. Get them back in. But to stay in, are they going to have to give us Bowler M390 on a slip joint? Do we need Bowler M390 on a slip joint? No, certainly don't. That 1095. Look, I love this knife here, but you see, as far as class and carry, I'll carry this one much more because I just love it as a piece of art. It is gorgeous to look at. It sharpens easy. It strops at the drop of a hat, and on I go and work with it. It's gorgeous. This is lovely for a whole new, different meaning. You know, the fit and finish is lovely. I'm getting carbon fibre. I'm getting M390 at a reasonable price for that blade steel. You know, these are about the same price to buy. But M390, 1095, carbon steel. It'll rust if you don't look after it. You know, it's... And that's what I'm trying. I hope I'm maybe going on a wee bit too much, as I tend to get excited. There's Kaisers now where you're getting M390, and they're now coming down now to about 150 for this, or 170 for this, and it's M390. You know, it was 250 when it came out, or maybe even more. Do you know what? It was expensive when it came out, I know that. But beautiful, beautiful knives. So everything is dropping in price, but the bottom price is keeping up with the higher end ones. And this is where I think, this is where in my head the crossover comes to a balance. There's D2. I know plenty of custom steel makers or custom knife makers who are using D2 still and selling it at stupid prices compared to £22 for this. £22 for this. And custom knife makers are charging in the hundreds. So, I mean, that's going to drop because they can't sustain that. I mean, so would you, people, unless you're very wealthy, are not going to spend a couple of hundred when you can get something for $22 or £22. Do you know what I mean? It's just got to change somewhere. Somewhere it's going to come to a joint decision that we've gone as far as we can go. And now we just need to... I think it'll end up being samey if we keep going down this route. Does that make sense? It does in my head. I think we're on the way to, like, what's one of the other steels? 154 cm is a steel that the budget knife market now is moving away from. But you still got custom knife makers using 154 cm in a $300, $400 knife. I mean, they're not going to be able to get away with that because people are going to now want something at £55 like an S90V, which is just an amazing steel. Why would I want to, unless I'm going to be a collector of high-end knives? Mine is look, collector knives and people who collect knives for their beauty and their aesthetics, I just admire. If I could do it, I would do it. But I'm just talking about knives in general. Work knives, working men's knives, and working men building a collection of knives. Is it all going to be just titanium and a high blade steel at a very, very reasonable price? Are they going to end up just... Is it just going to blur into the high end? The high end have just got nicer looking. Do you know what I mean? Because the blade steels are keeping up on the budget end. They're now coming up to, and I think approaching level nearly with some of the high end knives. And in some cases, M390 instead of 154 cm or D2. So that all came in my head through getting this little knife and the joy I get of collecting older knives and how they fit in today's society. This Oz 8, it's cracking. People run it down, but I don't believe people are running it down for the sake of just running it down. It's not as good steel as even the Skyline. There's definitely not as good a steel as M390 or D2. But it still works. It's sharp as a treat. It stays sharp a reasonable amount. The rats they really do a nice job with the Oz 8. But it just sharpens with a strop. And it's just beautiful. Same as the Sandvik seals. So, I suppose, what do you think? I want to know what you think of where the knife community is going. Or have we got a choice where we're going? Because I don't know whether we've got a choice anymore. I think we clambered and asked for that much new steel. I need this steel, I need this steel. That we have left behind knives that were of lesser steels, but were no lesser knives. I think we're leaving an awful lot of knives behind that'll end up just being thrown away because nobody's going to want... people bang on about hating 8CR13. I have no idea why that, or where that started from. I don't know because I'm just around 3 years. But I think it's fine, as long as you can sharpen. And the old boys, the old sharpeners, as far as I'm aware, and listening to them, like, Rob Bixby, I mean... Just listening to him talking about sharpening and what they'd done when they were growing up, I love them videos when the older boys are around who have been collectors all their lives or users all their lives. Maybe only collectors at the end of their lives, but users. They come up and they give you a story of what it was like growing up. My friends on YouTube, my subs, tell me about growing up and they had their buck knives and all that. I didn't have that, so I love that story. I love that tradition. And I don't want to lose that tradition. And my fear is that we've become so obsessed with knife steel that we're forgetting that the knives that we had and have are still blooming good knives. Just because they haven't got this high-end steel does not make them bad knives. They're still very comfortable to use. I mean, there should always be a place for something like the Skyline. It has deserved its place in the knife community as a work knife. Do you want to put D2 in it? Do you want to put... Well, go ahead. The rats are doing it. Do you know what I mean? But keep the knife. I don't think we should be all going to this titanium and the big high blade steel. Keep it. That design is perfect as an EDC knife. A deep carry pocket clip would be perfect. So change that. Put a bit of D2 if you need to. But to me, that Sandvik steel is perfectly good. Let's maybe encourage people to buy knives that are just good. When they come around, tell them what's good. Do you know, this blur? If you want a knife that's assisted, you know, and say you have dexterous problems with your hands, look at that there. You only touch it and it flies out. Hologram cuts like an animal. Cuts like an animal. And you can get it in S33 if you want to pay the difference. But stick it in Chinese D2. That'll do me. Do you know what I mean? But keep the knife. There's nothing wrong with this knife. To grip it, to hold it, to cut with it, it's comfortable. It is a really nice knife. Is that big lump of titanium over there as comfortable and as usable as that? Nope. Sorry, it feels cold in my hand. It's, you know, yes, it's titanium and it's, you can anodize, you can do it like, but as a work knife, it's slippy in the wet, you know, it's not going to do. You get a bit of grease in your hands, you're buggered. Excuse my language, sorry. But I don't know whether you see where I'm coming from there. I'll find out the description. I think I've gone on long enough now. What do you think of where the knife communities are going, and what should we be telling somebody that comes around? Don't buy Aussie it. Or only buy D2. That's the minimum. You can get it for 25 quid now. Don't buy this. It's Aussie it. It's rubbish. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't hold an edge. It's not very good. What do we tell the people coming around? What do we advise new people coming around? Or do we just have to move with the times? Like my children tell me, Stephen, you just gotta move with the times. And I don't know. I don't want to move with the times. But am I a dying old horse? I don't know. I really don't know whether it's just me having a little rant or a chat. And I've gone on, I've just seen there, 22 minutes I've talked for. This is supposed to be a quickie. But let me know what you think down below. Where do you take on it? Do I move with the times, or do I keep the tradition? I want to be a knife collector user. So the knives that I've got I'm going to use, and I want to collect them, so I can't afford the high end, so I go for the more budget. Now, I'm saying I can't afford the high end. This year I bought some high-end knives, so I am getting there, and I'm enjoying buying the high-end knives, because for the first time in my life, I've got a bit of extra spare cash that I can do it. So I'll not be buying a lot, but when I buy them, they really do mean something. Like this. You know, this is a Hinderer Slippy. Oh, can't tell you the joy I'm getting out of this knife. It is beautiful. Not worth the money, but it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It really is. So, there we go. It's in the collection. And when it lies down there, it's just a knife like every other knife. But Hinderer has a bit of history, I want us to back the companies that have stayed with us, that have kept making knives for us. All right, they've had their ups and downs, but I don't want to lose these. And a lot of them are big American companies. And you have the likes of Boker and all as well here, German and whatever. I mean, yes, let's stick with them. Let's not just push them to the side. Let's not push them to the side. There's a Bulgarian company up there. Let's keep them in it. There's a place for everybody. But if we just keep buying this generic D2 or S30, we keep needing that steel, we're going to lose these companies because they can't keep their price point at the price point that they pay good wages to their staff. And I know that's life. I know if you can't do it, you just lose. That's business, and I accept that. I'd be the first to accept that. If you can't keep, you're going to do. But I want to keep them there. I want to keep them in this. So There we go. It's open for discussion. Completely. I don't even know what the subject is, but it's open for discussion. For you subs that don't have channels, please, please, please join in the conversation down below. Let me know what you think, even if you've picked up something different than I was talking about that I meant to, because I'm not sure what I meant to talk about. Just talk about it down below. And let's just have and join in other people's conversations. If you see somebody you agree with, go for them. Tell them you agree with it. Or if you see somebody you disagree with, tell him you disagree with it and why you disagree with it. And let him come back and defend his argument. But don't be nasty. Love each other. It's Christmas. It's a time to be together. And it's a time that I want my subscribers to be together, which is why I'm doing this video. Because I want the ones who don't have channels to have a chance to get their view across. So, I'm gone. I've rabbled on. I'm sorry. I hope you enjoy this. I'll know by the answers down below whether you have or not. But take care. And if I don't see you before Christmas, I might try to get one more done before Christmas. But it is a busy time. So I know you'll accept that. But take care. If I don't see you before Christmas, a very, very Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you very much. And I look forward to after Christmas. Bye-bye now. Take care. Bye now. Paddy's away for a cup of tea.